The Podcasting Dead is available on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, and SoundCloud. Make sure to subscribe for more podcasts. And while you're at it, drop us a like. If you want to help support the channel and have access to extra content, secret contest, and more, make sure to search for us on Patreon. Patreon.com/thepodcastingdead.
All right, it's time for some Walking Dead What Ifs for you finally Friday. I'm Justin.
I'm JP.
And we're the Podcasting Dead. We've got a lot of Walking Dead What Ifs to get to, and we're going to try to get to as many of them as we can. But if you posted one and we don't get to it, please remember to repost it on this video. And, because we're fortunate to get a lot. We definitely want you guys to throw as many at us as you can. But sometimes we have so many, we'd be here for like 3 hours if we were talking about them all. So we're going to try to hit everybody's as best we can. And if we don't, and you really wanted to answer, just make sure to repost it on this week's. But starting it out, JP, what do we got?
All right, we're going to start with Kyle, King of Trash People, King of Trash People, King of Trash People.
Hey.
What would happen if Rick had died in the street as a cop instead of going into a coma? Merle is not handcuffed to the roof, and there is no bag of guns to go get before the first herd attacks the camp, and Shane has no one to challenge his leadership or relationship with Lori or Carl.
That's a good point. I mean, Shane would probably get them killed at some point, or would become very ruthless and kill anyone who looked at him the wrong way.
Do you think they would have made it beyond the camp outside of Atlanta?
I feel like Shane would have gotten Lori and Carl out of there, but I don't, and I don't know that Shane would have gotten them killed. He might have just found a little house and got away from everybody, because it won't so much that I don't feel like Shane wanted control of the group as much as he just wanted Lori and Carl. Like, I feel like if Lori would have been like, let's me, you, and Carl run away, he would have done it in a heartbeat.
Do you think they would have been better off separated from the group, just living as a small family unit?
Who? Shane, Lori, and Carl?
Yeah.
Most likely, yeah.
If they had just avoided any conflicts, just find a nice little, kind of like how John Dory was living when we first met him.
Yeah, I can tell you, I would have never set up camp. I mean, I know why they set up camp where they did. The rock quarry they thought was safer. And in the comics, it's explained. Glenn says they set up camp not far from Atlanta, so that way when rescue comes, they won't be far away. They can, they won't be left behind. They don't really go there in the show. But I would have just found like a country house out in the middle. There had to be a billion of them out there. Just go find a little country house that's deserted and hold up there. Because, you saw what happened when a herd came through. But I feel like Shane would have grabbed Lori and Carl and just skedaddled out of there, even if Rick didn't show up with the guns, Merle, and another interesting conflict, Merle and Daryl, they would have robbed the camp because Merle wouldn't have gotten handcuffed to the roof, and that was their plan.
Yeah. So do you think that would have happened before the first big Walker attack or after it?
It's hard to say because they never specified when they were planning to rob the camp blind, but we know that Merle was chained to that roof, and it took a day or two because they were there. They came. Rick went to stay the night. They left later that next evening, I think, to go get Merle. So you're talking about a couple of days. So it definitely could have happened before the herd came through. But you got to think with Merle and Daryl there, if they hadn't robbed the place yet, when the herd came through, they would have had more defenses.
Do you think that Merle would have taken a young Carl just like he took a young Star-Lord in Guardians of the Galaxy? Took him because his hands are small and good for stealing.
Doubt it.
You don't think he would have?
I'm Mary Poppins, y'all.
Yeah.
I doubt it. I wonder, though, if Daryl would have actually helped Merle rob the camp. Because Daryl was a douchebag, but he early on showed signs that he wasn't quite as bad as Merle.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if he would have talked him out of it, man. I don't know. I don't think he would have let Merle hurt anyone, but
I'd like to think.
Yeah, of course.
Like to think. But yeah, who knows where it would have ended up. We probably wouldn't have had the run-in with the governor. Hell, maybe they would have ended up in Woodbury.
They may have.
Woodbury. But I don't feel like, without Rick, they all still would have ultimately perished at some point.
Even Shane and Lori and Carl. Maybe.
Maybe. Now, Shane, Lori, and Carl, I don't know. Because if they went off and lived by themselves, then you just wonder if anybody would ever find them.
If you were in that scenario with your little family unit, would you try to link up with a larger group, or would you just be like, me and mine, and we're just fleeing and going to find a little country home, and that's it?
It just depends, man. I'd like to say I'd link up with a group, just because I believe in strength in numbers. And if you're talking about herds of zombies, and imagine a herd the size of the one that came to Herschel's barn, and it's just 3 of you.
Right.
Or Herschel's house. Ultimately, I really would like to link up with a group of people I know, being we live in a small town. I would like to think there'd be a few people that I know and can work with to be safe. But I mean, I would definitely be wary of who I linked up with. I mean, that's one of those I really don't know until I'm there, you know?
Yeah.
You know, how's the zombie situation? What about you? Would you go live off in the woods?
Oh, I'd stay solo dolo. Yeah.
Solo dolo?
Like living like Michonne and when we first met her.
I'm disappointed. I thought you would make your way to my place with all the supplies and stuff I have.
No, I would just steal from other people. But anyway, that's a good scenario, Kyle. We love you, and we want to see you soon. I mean, in the comments or in person or whatever. But anyway,
Thank you, Kyle.
We're moving on to a Stefan. He's got a lot of good ones, man. We're definitely gonna start with one, move on, and perhaps come back because he's got some. Well, you know, Stefan's always got cool stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, man. I just it's one of those things I don't even know what to pick. Okay, here's one that's taking us because he's got one that's about the beginning of the series, kind of like Kyle. But let's pick one that goes brings us up to modern day.
Okay.
So what if the final war of The Walking Dead is the Commonwealth in white versus the CRM in black? CRM versus Commonwealth, the last war. It just seems like that's the direction we are heading. And have you guys heard the articles supporting this theory? I haven't.
That would be really cool. So I'm guessing our group would link up with the Commonwealth because we haven't seen, anything to... Which in the show, if you don't read the comics, you don't know anything about the Commonwealth other than they wear some really rad little stormtrooper costumes. But, they end up being not all bad. They just have a dumb hierarchy system. But, I don't think we've seen any redeeming qualities from the CRM. So I guess the CRM would be the bad guys and the Commonwealth would be the good guys, kind of like the light versus the dark.
Yeah, but I mean, that's weird because, the whole conflict is the internal strife in the Commonwealth, in the comic, and that's what they're up against. So,
well, I mean, I'm sure our group will get in there and do like they do in the comics and pretty much run that ish.
So you think they'll take over the Commonwealth and then they'll face the challenge of the CRM?
Yep. Yes, I do.
Wow.
Do you think Rick will come back and go the way he does in the comics?
I don't know, man. I think he might be kind of like Bird Person in Rick and Morty, turn to a life of evil. And
you
turn
think so?
Against his best friends.
I don't think that's going to happen.
I think it will.
I hope we don't have some Rick amnesia story.
And I hope they don't turn him into a cyborg either.
I mean, that would be helpful in the zombie apocalypse, though.
It could be, and he was blown all to hell, so maybe we will see
we can make him stronger, faster.
Rick. Yeah, but a good one, Stefan, and we, if we can, we will come back and knock on some of these other really awesome ones. But right now we're moving on to a friend of ours across the pond, talking about Owen Mazan.
Hey.
And he says it's more comic-based, but does count for the TV series, too. Originally, the plan for issue 100 was that Rick would be forced by Negan to kill Glenn in order to save Carl. However, Kirkman couldn't figure out a way to make this work. What if this happened? Could you imagine the uproar? Could you imagine that? A panel where Rick is bashing in Glenn's brains because, I guess Negan has a knife to Carl's throat or something. Mm-hmm. Picture that in your mind. Illustrate it with your brain.
Honestly, that would have been so dark.
Yeah.
I mean, so dark. Can you imagine that?
Would Rick ever even recover from that?
No, and I don't think that Maggie would either.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about, in the comic world, which you could use it in the show too, but in the comic world, you're talking about killing the guy that ultimately saved you and got you back to your family, for your son, This guy's the reason you got back to your son. You probably would have never found your son without him, and now you're killing him.
You think Rick would have been able to go through with it?
I think Rick would
do. On the line.
Yeah, I think Rick would do whatever to save Carl.
And at the end of the day, he's got to realize that, Negan's probably going to kill Glenn regardless. So
that would be horrible.
Carl and Glenn both die, or it's the old scenario. Someone's like, you're in a lifeboat with two of your best mates. You can only one of them has to go in order to keep the boat afloat. It's
dude, that would have been some great storytelling.
Yeah,
Maggie could have become a bad guy. but a sympathetic bad guy, like not a main villain you're rooting against, but I'm talking like, you know, an opposing force to Rick.
Mm-hmm.
You know, always looking for revenge on Negan and Rick, and then maybe they could come to some resolution towards the end. But, you know, I mean, she punched Rick for not stopping Negan from killing Glenn in the comics. Remember that?
Yeah.
Like, I can't remember if she smacks or punches him or something, but was like, you didn't even do anything. Imagine if Rick was the one to kill him.
Jeez, man.
Like, what if, like, Maggie's hunting Carl down?
That might have been too dark. It might have been.
That's what I'm saying. I really get this super depressing feeling when I think about it going that way. But Owen, I'd never heard of that. That would have been.
It really would have changed the entire
landscape
chemistry of either the comic or the show. I mean, wow.
I kind of want to see an alternate universe where that happens. I mean, I definitely think Maggie would have for sure been against Rick. I mean, I think maybe she would get over it in time, but I feel like, and I mean, she would of course be after Negan too, but I feel like Maggie would just separate, have her own little group, and then be hunting both of them down.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy, man. Owen, you kind of just left our brains in a pile of goop on the floor.
I'm already exhausted from lack of sleep, and now my mind is just blown. But yeah, I definitely, Maggie might, at most, Maggie might not come after Rick, being that he didn't really have a choice. But I think Maggie wouldn't have anything to do with him. If I were writing it, I would make Maggie slowly, but like kind of, at least for a while, kind of delve into insanity. Just like hating Rick and being a thorn in Rick's side going forward for a while, and then probably have them team back up, and they never could really be cool again. But they come to an understanding. But I could see why he decided not to go that route.
What it reminds me of is like Flashpoint, from DC Comics, where, and spoiler alerts if you haven't read this from like 10 years ago.
I was going to say, it's really old, so.
Yeah, like in this alternate universe, Joe Chill kills a young Bruce Wayne. Martha Wayne becomes a Lady Joker. Of course, Thomas Wayne becomes Batman. But I think it'd be kind of similar. She'd go crazy and become a Walking Dead Lady Joker type person.
Yeah, because it's already bad enough to watch your boyfriend get bludgeoned to death by Negan, but imagine watching it be done by someone you love, and you trust.
Yeah,
doing that. God, Owen, man, I might have to use that in one of my plot points when I write something in that way.
Yeah.
That's really, really dark. I like it. A good one, Owen. It got my mind hurting.
Yeah, man, UV's got a good one, but he's got a few good ones, and this one just because now we're kind of, my mind's kind of gearing in a comic book sort of fashion. But some of the characters, I think you're probably more familiar with, the Punisher and Rick versus John Wick and Joel. Now, I've never seen the John Wick movies.
John Wick and Joel.
And is that a character from John Wick? Are you familiar?
Not off the top of my head.
Well, we're going to go to another.
Hold on. I'm curious now, though. The Punisher and Rick, you said?
Yeah, so basically you're replacing Shane with his other persona of the Punisher, Frank Castle. And, I mean, later on, Rick pretty much has a very similar philosophy. Just, kill him first and let God.
I wonder if you're talking about Joel from The Last of Us.
See that? I don't know.
If you are, man, that levels it out, because Rick and Joel are basically very similar. They don't have superpowers or crazy training skill set. They do what they got to do to survive, and they're brutal. They can throw down and they make the hard choices. But then you got the Punisher. I'm not gonna lie, I love the Punisher, but I don't know how that would turn out between the Punisher and John Wick. John Wick is just almost superhuman with his combat skills, but the Punisher just always has a plan. I think it all just depends. If it's a frontal assault with no kind of warning, I feel like Joel and John Wick would win. But if it was something that they knew they were going to fight him, and the Punisher had time to kind of plan it out, I feel like maybe the Punisher would get it.
Yeah, I was going to say, as someone who's never seen the John Wick movies, he almost is like a superhero.
It's some of the stuff he does is just very unreal. Which, don't get me wrong, Keanu Reeves did a lot of training, so a lot of the, techniques he uses and stuff are very legit, but it's just no one's...
Right. But that's kind of the vibe of the movie, I guess.
Yeah, he's unkillable.
Right, kind of like like Fast and the Furious. It's just, you got to just kind of set your mind in that world where,
Let me even it up for you, UV. let's say this. Have you ever seen Denzel Washington's Equalizer?
No.
Now that would be the fight of the Denzel Washington, the Equalizer. I can't remember his character's name, but he and Rick versus Joel and John Wick. Now that would be a more evenly matched, I feel. But then again, I don't know. The Punisher, I mean, he never loses. So, I mean, he's gone head-to-head with superpowered heroes and still come out on top. So, good question, man. It's got my brain hurting. I still feel like John Wick would probably get it just because he's got a lot of plot armor. But then again, so does the Punisher. I still feel like John Wick would probably get it. But if it got hand-to-hand, I think the Punisher would whoop John Wick's ass. But if John Wick has a weapon, I think so. I mean, it's just so many variables. I mean, we're talking fist to fist, in which case I think Joel would. I don't know if Joel would beat. Joel's a little thicker than Rick, but Rick's taking some big boys. I feel like Joel would probably still kill Rick, but then I feel like the Punisher hand to hand would kill John Wick. But then if they were armed, I feel like Rick, because Rick's a damn good shot.
He is.
I feel like Rick and. Rick would beat Joel, but John Wick would beat the Punisher. But I don't know, man. That's so tough. There's so many arguments for both sides. It's really just like it all comes down to opinion.
Yeah, but that's a good one, UV. I wish I knew the other characters a little better. But we're going to save Allie Smith for the last, maybe, because she's got the longest.
Okay.
But Flugplaws says, what if, are you ready for this one?
I am.
What if World Beyond was good?
Yeah, then our podcasts about it would be a lot more energetic and entertaining.
Yeah, my Sunday nights would be better, that's for sure.
I think if you listen to our reviews of Fear, you can genuinely tell that we're actually really enjoying this season. I mean, even the slower episodes are still it's an enjoyable season. I'm very happy to. I just wish I could go back and tell my past self, don't dread watching this season of Fear the Walking Dead. It's actually good, but. Then you listen to the energy levels when we do The World Beyond. It's like with Fear the Walking Dead, we're like, all right, blah, blah, blah. I mean, what do you think John Dory's going to... With World Beyond, we're like, all right, let's talk about it. Basically, not shit happens. Some nail polish, a boat, a lot of Disney Channel looks and nods. And we can do this if we work as a team, guys. And that's basically the episode.
Another good one, a good little short one, going back to UV. What if Felix from World Beyond is related to Rick? He kind of looks like him. Do you think that's possible, that Felix is related to Rick somehow? Do we know much about Felix's origins?
I mean, yeah, but we've seen some of his flashbacks, so we know it's definitely not his brother. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't think that's going to happen, but that'd be cool. I'm not going to lie, I liked Felix in the beginning, but he's just kind of boring now.
Oh, the whole show. Anyway. Good one, UV. We love you. Let's see here. We did one from Stefan. Stefan's got another one up top here. Do you want to hit Allie next, or shoot at Stefan's? Do we have some on other videos?
Yes, we do.
To hit?
Yes, we do. We've got. I mean, we could go ahead and do Allie's, and then we'll pull up a few. Try to get at least one or two from the other videos.
Okay, gotcha. All right, and she goes ahead and warns us this one is going to be long, but bear with me because I want to explain it fully. Allie always paints a very vivid picture for us. Imagine a scenario where Glenn still saves Rick in the tank and takes him back to the Atlanta camp. This time, though, Lori, Carl, and Shane aren't in the group. Rick is forced to choose between going rogue and searching for his family or staying with the Atlanta group and assuming the role of leader. He chooses to stay with the hope of leading Glenn, Daryl, Andrea, Carol, etc., while trying to find his family. The group more or less goes through the same situations, Herschel's farm, the prison, the governor, Terminus, and Alexandria, just without Lori, Carl, and Shane. This process takes an extra year. When Rick hears about how the Saviors are bothering the hilltop, he is quick to act. Little does he know that the Saviors are led by Shane, who met Negan in the beginning of the apocalypse, with Lori and Carl became his second in command over the years, and ended up killing him for his position.
The Saviors.
Yeah, they're with the Saviors, and Shane just killed Negan.
They must have really been moving.
Yeah, so now I wonder if instead of, we're all Negan, are we all Shane? But anyway.
Who's Shane?
Shane's power is cemented by battle-hardened and teenage sociopath Carl, who had to put down both Lori and Judith after a particularly vicious attack on the sanctuary from an unknown group. Had to put them down, so I guess they got...
An unknown group? Was that Rick's group?
Perhaps.
Following the same path?
This version of Shane puts so-called dictator Negan to shame. Shane is fueled by the rage and guilt he feels because the attack that led to his lover and daughter's death was premeditated by him. He orchestrated it to distract Negan. Yeah, so
wait a minute.
Here's where it gets crazy. He orchestrated it to distract Negan and the Saviors so he could say that Negan was killed in the fight and that he would be best to take the role. Carl does not know this, but Outpost leader Dwight does. He refuses to say anything for fear of endangering Sherry, so Shane orchestrated an attack on the sanctuary.
But he didn't mean for Lori and Judith to die?
No, they were collateral damage,
okay.
But that was his...
I was going to say, so wait a minute. He's fueled by the anger of their deaths, but he's the one that killed them.
No.
That makes sense. I mean, that's actually a really good motivation there. Like, he orchestrated the attack just to take Negan's leadership and short-sightedly got Lori and Judith killed.
Yeah, so he kills Negan without the other Saviors knowing it. They just think it was an attack that went bad. Wow, okay, and we're still rolling here. This version of Carl had a closer relationship to Negan, who was his father figure after Shane became more and more obsessed with power. To honor Negan, Carl continues his lineup tradition. As Rick and the rest of the group kneel before the Saviors, Carl takes time to hide in the shadows, lamenting about how after he lost both his father and father figure and killed his mother and sister, his youth would not hold him back anymore. The facade fades as he recognizes Rick. Abraham and Glenn's lives are spared due to Carl's shock. Think of an all-out war with Rick leading Alexandria, the Kingdom, and Hilltop, and Shane leading Sanctuary. Dwight would still be a spy, this time sharing his knowledge of Shane's actions with Rick. Carl would be forced to choose between whether he believed Shane, the man who saved him and his mother while lying to him for years, or Rick, who disappeared from his life when he needed him the most. Which side would Carl realistically choose? Would Rick even be able to fight if Carl was on the other side? If forced to choose between the two, would Rick choose the son he lost from a past life, or the group that gave him a new family, Michonne and RJ? Which side, meaning Rick or Shane, would win? Sorry for such a long premise. This idea came to me at 3 a.m. and I had to share. Love all you guys do with this channel.
Don't apologize. That's dope.
Dude,
that's some really wild storytelling.
That needs to be like a piece of fan fiction. Hallie, you for real need to go to a blog site and start churning out some fan fiction.
That's amazing. Who would Carl pick?
I think it's just wild after all those years he still recognizes Rick, which I'm not saying that's unrealistic, but I know if I can go like a year without seeing somebody and walk by him and be like shit, I know that person.
One day I'm like, JP! And you're like, I don't know this guy. He's going to rob me.
Not know you bearded stranger. But no, I
feel like Carl would pick Rick's side. And I say that because he loved Negan. And I feel like once he found out, or heard, about Shane orchestrating the attack, and especially if he got distanced from Shane due to Shane's power hungriness, like that was obvious to Carl, and that's what drove a rift between them, and he kind of, became close with Negan, and that tells me that his loyalty to Shane really isn't that strong.
Exactly.
And, seeing his dad, and especially if Dwight revealed that Shane wanted Negan, he's power hungry. He orchestrated the attack as a distraction so he could kill Negan, and your sister and mother were killed, unintentionally, but they died because of Shane's actions.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I feel like Carl's going back to Team Rick.
But,
he'd be a hard and badass, though.
I think I could see it playing out, man. Carl ends up killing Shane some kind of way, taking over the sanctuary, and now he's essentially Negan. I can see him putting that leather jacket on. But
if he does that, what reason does he have to wage war with his father?
Well, that's the whole thing. Now he's got to decide, what am I going to do with this situation? We are at war with does he make peace? If he does make peace, does that alienate him from his own group? Rick's been killing saviors left and right. How does Carl deal with that?
That's true. I mean, I don't think Carl would wage war against his father with Shane out of the way. But maybe he gets to the point where he's like, well, I haven't seen this man in years, and I need to look powerful. If I let him go, I look weak. But then again, we already saw him let Abraham and Glenn live.
Yeah.
I still stick by, I think that after learning the truth, Carl would want revenge on Shane. I feel like he would switch to Rick's group. They would kill Shane, and then Carl would just kind of stay with the Saviors and lead them. And then Rick would continue to lead Alexandria, and they'd have a very strange relationship, but they would each, be in their respective. I think Carl would. That's the way I could see it going.
And then even still, what's his name still gets Carl killed in the stupidest way possible. Like, that's just unavoidable. God, I forgot his name because I wish
Sadiq.
I could forget. Yeah, Sadiq. Sadiq still gets Carl killed for no reason. It's like, man, it's the most awesome story arc in the Walking Dead history, and Carl just got killed killing walkers.
Bit by a walker when he's killed hundreds of them and squared off against many of them at one time, but whatever.
Sadiq wants to free their souls from their undead prison or something.
That's just, that was one of the dumbest Gimple plot points ever, man.
Yeah.
And I mean, even if he didn't write that, he allowed it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that, I still blame him as showrunner. He should have had enough sense to realize what a dumb decision that was and say, guys, if we're going to kill Carl off, he's going to go down like a badass fighting Negan, or even if Negan took him up on his offer and sacrificed him, something.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm fine with like a random death. I'm fine with that, but just like it's
well, from
stupid,
a writing perspective, Rick's whole motivation was Carl.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the reason why he was doing everything, why he wanted the community, why he wanted safety, why he was so vicious. I mean, like Andrew Lincoln said, he felt like Rick was an airplane, and Lori and Carl were his two turbines. He already lost one, and the plane can still kind of fly, but it's on edge. And then you take the other one out, the plane can't continue.
Yeah,
and maybe he said that about Judith and Carl, and maybe not Lori and Carl. I can't remember, but I mean, anyway, he explained Rick losing Carl like a plane losing turbines, and just it can't fly without it. And like that was. I mean, eventually that's what made Andrew Lincoln leave the show. I mean, he said he ultimately wanted to spend more time with his family, but also a big part of it too was the fact that he just really couldn't. He just really didn't see any motivation for Rick now. Rick could just be an old man and take a back seat because all of his viciousness, he never wanted the power. He never wanted to be a leader. He just took charge to protect his son. And now his son died because of some stupid-ass plot point.
Yeah.
What a waste, man.
Allie, if I had like the Infinity Gauntlet, I would go back in time and make you the showrunner, and I think we would have been a lot better off.
Oh, that's sweet. What do you think that killing Carl was the single biggest mistake the show made?
Yes.
Like, I mean, and don't get me wrong. Of course, we love the show, but I mean, you love your parents, but you can still point out tons of flaws. I mean, with the show, they've definitely made a lot of dumb decisions. Do you think that killing Carl the way they did was the dumbest?
I do. I think, yeah.
I'm with you.
I think it's a close second would be the Negan cliffhanger.
Yep, that's where I was going next. I was going to say the closest thing to that, I think, would be the season 6 cliffhanger. Because like I said, I wasn't really that mad about the Glenn Dumpster Gate thing. That didn't really bother me that bad. But now you see they're doing it again with like not Kelly's sister Connie.
Right.
Hadn't seen her in a while, so her name slipped my mind. The death fake out with Glenn really didn't bother me that bad because they hadn't really done that before. I don't think, not that severe. I mean, it looked like Glenn got ripped to pieces.
Yeah, man. I mean, I wasn't like pissed off at it. I still think it was kind of dumb, but I wasn't pissed at it. I think, Carl dying, the Negan cliffhanger, the first showdown with the governor where they just scare him away.
That was so stupid.
Yeah, those for me the top 3. Biggest blunders by The Walking Dead.
The season 3 finale is definitely still to date one of the dumbest things they ever did because it's like, all right, we've already killed some of his people. We know he wants to kill us all. We know he's a psychopath, ruthless. One might argue that no, they weren't trying to get the governor. They knew that once they did that, his people wouldn't want to come back. But there's no guarantee of that. And the governor himself still might come back. Hell, it was just him and like one or two other people, and they killed Axel and just knocked down some fences and I mean caused chaos, just 2 or 3 of them. So even if you did think that his followers wouldn't follow him anymore, he's still alive. You can't leave somebody like that alive in that scenario.
Yeah, that seems like a plan Morgan would have come up with in like season 4 of Fear the Walking Dead.
Oh yeah, all lives are precious, Rick. Yeah. Even the governors.
Yeah, we're just gonna scare them off.
Yeah, that was God. I can't express. I remember being so amped up for that because I remember the comic book prison battle and just how brutal it was and how many main characters died and how I remember after reading that. After the governor's assault on the prison, just how depressing it was after you read that. I mean, spoilers, but I mean, God, that's been out for over a decade. But I mean, you lost Lori, you lost Judith, you lost Herschel, you lost Herschel's son in the comic, which I thought was going to be Beth in the show. I definitely didn't think they were going to take Maggie out, but I definitely thought Beth was going to die in the prison assault. Beth, Billy, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I definitely thought Beth was going to take Billy's place and Herschel was going to die. And also, was thinking, which Axel died beforehand, so I guess he couldn't have died. But I thought they would sub someone in for him. I mean, I thought we were going to lose half the cast.
Yeah, man.
I remember thinking Carol might actually, because she was already dead at this point in the comics. I thought, man, Carol might, which then she got booted off. But I just remember as we got, she got booted off in season 4. So, yeah, I thought Carol might die. I mean, I just remember, like, getting up to that, thinking, oh, my God, this is going to be... I remember telling my parents, like, I don't know how close they'll stick to the comics, but if it's anything like the comics, tonight's going to be rough.
Yeah,
like
they should have wrapped up the prison arc in that season finale.
Absolutely. I was like, it's going to be rough as hell.
The governor should have found the tank, and they should have wrapped it up just like in the comics. I mean, a little variation, but...
Yeah, and I'm honestly... Now, all right, here's a good what if. I know we're getting away from the fan what ifs, but we're still talking Walking Dead.
Yeah.
If you could go back in time and change that, would you have her? And I say this because the way Herschel died, like, broke me. You know what I mean? Like, watching him get his neck sliced, I just remember getting furious. Like, that's some good damn writing because I'm, like, yelling at my TV. I'm like, you fuck the governor. Why would you do that to... I mean, I'm just so into it, which, I was like, I'm never watching this bullshit again.
Yeah.
And the next day, I wake up once I've calmed down and realize, damn, that was a very well-written episode because if it gets you that emotionally invested, that's good, right? That's good. But if you could go back, say you got the gauntlet and you're changing some things, and you go back in time and you and I are now sitting in the writing room for the season 3 finale, or planning how the season's going to end. Would you have Herschel die the way he did in the comics, which was, spoilers again, sorry, but in the comics, Billy gets shot and killed, and Herschel just gives up. He drops to his knees, and the governor walks up to him and puts a gun to his head, and Herschel's like, kill me, please. And the governor's like, okay. Bam! Shoots him in the head. Herschel's dead. Would you have him have died that way in the show, or would you have him still have died by Michonne's blade wielded by the governor?
No, I think I would have had... I would have done a little bit of a fake out. Like, I don't know, maybe the governor's got like Tyrese and Herschel and maybe one other person all on their knees in front of the fence. And when his katana comes down, you think he's hacking off Tyrese's head. And then, you zoom out and it's actually Herschel and you're like, oh no.
Believe it or not, I feel like I would still spare Herschel. You know why?
Yeah, still.
Because even though it's kind of a mixed bag when you ask people what they thought of the whole prison flu thing, whether you loved it or hated, you got to admit it's in those episodes that we really fell in love with Herschel. Like, we liked Herschel before because Herschel in the comics and Herschel in the prison are two totally different people. Herschel in the comics never becomes really the, I mean, he's close to Rick, but he's not quite the moral compass that he is. I mean, he's kind of just more of a grumpier old man, which they kind of started with. You can tell that Dale wanting to be written off the show kind of threw him off because Herschel was much more of a crotchety old man. He wasn't fond of letting them move in. He wasn't fond of the group being there at all. And Dale was the moral compass. But I guess when they killed Dale, they were like, well, now we've, kind of got to move Herschel into that role. But, I mean, really, I loved Herschel leading all the way through season 3. I did. But it's the first half of season 4 that made me fall in love with Herschel and made his death even. I mean, the first half of season 4 is when you get that great speech where he's going in with that tea to try and alleviate some symptoms from these flu people. And Maggie and Rick are trying to stop him. And he gives that great speech about, you get a drink of water. you could die. And he just, just really gave me goosebumps. And he's like, the only thing we get to choose is what we're willing to die for, or something to that effect. Just a great moment. And then we got that whole, he saved Glenn's life and he saved everybody when people started turning. And it's just, it's in those moments that I really fell in love with Herschel as a character. And you got to see like him crying after the whole outbreak thing and, losing so many people. So I feel like we needed all of that to make his death that much more painful the way that it was. I feel like if he would have died in that way in the season 3 finale, it'd have been heartbreaking, but not in the same way, because you really saw what a great guy he was in the first half of season 4. Yeah. So I probably would still spare Herschel if we were going to do that. I might would move Herschel into more of a, well, I can't have him banging Andrea. Well, let me ask you something. Would you have spared Andrea? Would she have made it past the season 3 finale?
Yeah, I would have changed her story arc a little bit, and maybe, which I liked the alternate reality kind of thing where Rick ends up with Michonne. I mean, I'm not mad at that, but I think I would have kept Andrea around. Sure.
What do you mean? Oh, yeah. You're talking about how they switched it from the comics. Right. It was Michonne instead of Andrea.
Maybe Andrea would have ended up with Ezekiel.
That could have been a good switch.
Yeah.
I mean, you would have to really start retweaking her character, though, because up till her death, she was the most annoying character on the show for me. By far and large.
Her arc would have been a little different, but I mean, not super. She still would have been very conflicted because of her feelings for the governor and that sweet pipe he was laying down.
I probably would have had Andrea written to not be so stupid. I would have probably had it like revealed in the season 3 finale, like they're fighting. You know what I'm saying? Because in the comics, it was a random character. What was her name? That kills the governor, and a lot of people weren't happy with that. It just was a random person that lived in Woodbury. It wasn't Jess. What was her name? Lily. It was the same name they gave the girl that the governor was banging out before the end, before he died. Mm-hmm. But she was nothing like this character and they ended up writing a book series about her, and I guess that was just their kind of way of giving her some validation, considering she was just this no-name character that popped up an issue or two before. Yeah. But I would have had it written to where, you're thinking Andrea's dumb, she's still seduced, and as the battle happens, Andrea might tell the governor, I can't go. I can't. I support you, but I really don't think that I want to see that. And the governor would be like, okay. But you would actually have Andrea kind of like Knights of the Vale in Game of Thrones, like all hope would look lost in the prison battle, and, lots of people have died, and it's just looking dark, and all of a sudden here comes Andrea with a handful of people that she's convinced to rally against the governor. You know what I'm saying? People that might have feigned sickness or, and I mean, you'd have to work on that. To how is there a group of people the governor don't know about that didn't, I mean, I get all of that, but I would have had Andrea roll in, and Andrea would have been the one to put the final bullet in the governor's head. And then her character would have started getting better from there. Because then you'd be like, oh, wow, she won't stupid. She's been plotting this whole season.
Oh, gosh.
Now everything makes sense because you're like, you can't be that stupid. You know that the group you're against are good people. By now the governor is a psychopathic POS. That whole, I just didn't want anybody to die. That's so stupid. But yet when people had invaded Woodbury, you like, let me go. I'm a good shot. Let me kill people. Hell with that, man. I would have had it. Then it would have come around full circle and you'd be like, wow. And then I would have shown maybe some flashbacks. Like she'd been plotting this basically after, like in my way, that would have been why she started hooking up with the governor.
Right.
It's not that she didn't believe Michonne. She totally trusted and believed Michonne. I mean, the thought that she gets into this town and gets seduced by this guy, being on the road with Michonne and knowing Michonne's instincts are trustworthy for like 7 or 8 months, and then meeting this guy that Michonne just instantly doesn't trust. I just would have had it written to where you never realized, but everything she was doing was very strategic. She got with the governor to gain his trust. She played the fool while she was working behind the scenes to set up a coup. And then her and her people come rolling in there and just, start saving the day. And then Andrea would just be a redeemed character in my mind and could go forward with some respect.
Using her sexuality as a weapon.
I mean, she was definitely using it in some way.
Yes.
But yeah, anyways, God, we got way off. Sorry. But hey, we are talking about Walking Dead What If, so that still fits in the narrative that we're following here.
That's true.
But do we have any more? Actually, no, hold on. We got one. I got it pulled up.
Okay,
hold on, let's see. Yeah, I got it pulled up. I forgot I went through the... All right. Ashley O'Neil. This is interesting. What if you were in the world of The Walking Dead? What community would you want to be in, and what would your weapon of choice? And what 5 characters, dead or alive, would you want in your group? You can use all aspects of the Walking Dead universe, from the 3 shows to the comics and the games. Yeah. First off, JP's going to be with our man Victor Strand.
Yeah,
That's pick number 1.
I would be sailing the seas on the Abigail.
Now, keep in mind, is that where you would be? Because it says, what community would you want to be in? However, it says you can use all aspects of the Walking Dead universe. So it's not a community, but would that be your ultimate pick to be on the boat?
Yeah, we would be sailing the 7 seas on the Abigail, man. We would have fashioned some sails on it, and
In keeping it in this, though, so we know that's your ultimate choice, but being this does say communities, if you had to pick a community, like from any of the shows, don't forget that includes Jenny's world, the Sanctuary, that includes Alexandria, Woodbury, Hilltop, Oceanside. I'd probably go to Oceanside because it's all women, but you would take Victor Strand and go to Oceanside, wouldn't you?
Maybe. Gosh, because I wouldn't want to
JP,
be...
you know that I'm not into women. You'd be like, well, Victor, I'm not really into men, but there's something about you.
Yeah, I would have sex with Victor Strand or Dominique Comingo, whatever his name
is. Is he gay in real life?
I don't know.
I always wonder because so many people are so. I mean, he's such a a lot of these characters, a lot of these actors are so good, and like I thought that Aaron's boyfriend in the show, because I don't think Ross Marquand's gay in real life, and I could be wrong, but I don't think he is. But I remember thinking that it just shows you can't judge a book by its cover, because the guy, Eric, his lover, I thought he was definitely gay in real life. Then you see him on the Talking Dead, and he's like, they're like, do you have anything you want to, he's like, say hey to my wife and my kids, and he's just not acting like Eric. And I'm like, wow, that is some good damn acting right there, dude. You know what I mean? Like, it just seemed very natural. But alas, JP, I would rather go to Alexandria, because though I love you, I'm a man of many pleasures, and Aaron's there, and I know he would be more inclined to. Would you be into an open relationship, JP?
Not an open relationship, no. I mean, we can invite other people into the bedroom.
So you're saying I can't just go and bang Aaron?
No.
Or Jesus?
No, but I do invite other people into the bedroom with us.
I've met a terrible fate. This was a terrible decision, JP. No. I'm leaving you. You stay here at Oceanside with all of these women.
It wouldn't be.
And I'm going back to find Aaron and Jesus, because if you thought finding gay romance pre-apocalypse was tough, it's really hard in the zombie apocalypse. So I'm going to go where they are.
It's going to be really hard in the zombie apocalypse. I'm going to make sure of that.
Peace out, JP. If you follow me, I will send Daniel to kill you.
No.
Dude, I mean, like, okay, we'll link up and you I'll take Alicia. You can take Strand, and we'll just adventure together.
Yeah, that'd be okay.
Because I think Alicia is absolutely gorgeous. I don't really, just not really that into her character, but I think the girl that plays her is a good actress, and I think that she's just absolutely beautiful. She's definitely, in my opinion, like if I had to pick a dream girl from the Walking Dead universe, it would probably end up like a tie between her and Jess.
Yeah, I like Alicia's character. I just like
past tense. I liked. It's just like the last season or two. I haven't really cared about any of her story arc.
Yeah, well, I mean, I haven't cared about any of the story arcs in that show the last 2 seasons. So,
I think I would probably, I don't know. For me, it would be a toss up between Alexandria and the Hilltop. Both have walls.
Yeah.
I like being in the woods, and I like, the more country setting of the Hilltop. Like, I feel like that's my ultimate goal in life, is to buy like a nice house out in the middle of nowhere, woods around, all of that. However, living in Alexandria, you would get some semblance of normalcy. I feel like in the Hilltop, you're constantly reminded that you're in the apocalypse, which maybe you need to be. Maybe you need to not like Shane tells Rick when they're walking through the woods talking about the good old times, and Shane's like, we shouldn't be thinking about that. Those times are gone. We need to not be stuck in the past. We need to deal with the present we're in. But I don't know. That would be a tough choice for me, just because, I mean, obviously Oceanside would be my number one. It's a place full of women. But I like to think at this point in the apocalypse, I would have a girlfriend, so that wouldn't be a big deal. I would hope. I might not. But then again, let's think of who's where, though. Maggie is at the Hilltop. Mm-hmm. And this is, I'm being, it says anybody dead or alive. Maggie's there. Enid's there, which Enid was young, but in the flash forward, I imagine she had to be well over 18 at that point.
Yeah.
But Enid, and And it's not all just women. Like, think of what characters you want to deal with. You got the Kingdom, too. The Kingdom would be my last choice, man. That place was rinky-dinky.
Yeah, I would have liked to have fortified Herschel's farm, man. I wouldn't have minded. If fortified properly.
You and Victor Strand would just have a nice little house out in the country.
That would be great, man. Be like living in Vermont.
Then Victor Strand cheats on you because he's a man that, just can't be. You can't control Victor Strand. So you've told him that you don't want an open relationship. Now he's just, what you were at the hilltop again, weren't you? Were you with Jesus? No, JP, I was there trading goods.
Likely story.
That's a long ways away from Herschel's farm. Well, JP, you said you wanted me to bake you a pie, so I had to go buy the supplies to bake the pie.
Oh.
You stopped by the Barn of Pleasures, didn't you? JP, I can't stay away from the Barn of Pleasures. Ezekiel knocks on your door. JP, I really want to invite you to our shindig tonight, the Barn of Pleasures. Your boy Strand's going to be there.
I would not share him in that fashion. Not in that fashion. Like I said,
I think you're getting jealous. I'm looking in your face. You're not liking the thought of Victor Strand getting with somebody else.
It's one thing to invite another individual into the bedroom, but no, not that. That would be too much. That would be too much. You would just disappear into a sea of flesh.
The Barn of Pleasures. But yeah, I don't know, man. So what's your number one pick? Herschel's farm?
Yeah, properly fortified.
God, though, man, how would you fortify that? I mean, you think about building a wall around it, and that's a great idea, but imagine building a wall around the entire farm.
I wouldn't do a wall. I think enough barbed wire in strategic locations and just making regular rounds around your perimeter.
You know what you could do?
What's that?
It's bound to be a water source by there, man. Just go steal a bulldozer from town, come back and just dig out this giant moat around the farm, and then just dig a little trench connecting it to a water source, and bam, problem solved.
Yeah.
There's not enough moats in the Walking Dead world. Moats were in medieval times for a reason, especially with the dead. I would dig a 8-foot trench. I would fill it with wooden spikes all over. Or metal, whatever. I would just with all kinds of snares and things in there that could keep you trapped, which could end up coming back to bite you in the ass later. But and then I would just fill that sucker with water.
What about crocodiles?
Yes, crocodiles. Yeah, it's in Georgia.
Yeah,
you fill it with crocodiles, but then you don't know that they won't come up to your land and start eating your livestock.
Yeah.
Oh, George, not the livestock. Mine would, I want to say Alexandria, just because if I was going to have a kid. I mean, I know we're living in this dark new world, but I would love for them to get some sense of normalcy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. For me, it's a tie between Alexandria and the Hilltop, and then it says, "What's your weapon of choice?" What's your weapon of choice?
Oh wow. Probably a batleth. I like
a
those
what?
a lot.
Is that from Star Trek?
Yeah, it's the Klingon weapon where it's like a crescent moon almost, and it's got the two handles, and it's great for both offense and defense. So I think that would work really well. But you have to really train with those. It's not something you can just pick up and be like, oh man.
My weapon of choice. I mean, can I still have guns? I mean, it just says weapon of choice if we're talking guns, man.
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
I like my AR-15, large ammo capacity.
Yeah.
Rounds that you would find. I mean, a 5.56 and 2.23, which it shoots both. They're very common rounds. I mean, I imagine in the apocalypse you'd find. It's kind of like when I mean, if you're a doomsday prepper, which I'm not, but if you are, the one thing they tell you is, you need to get some guns that are very common. 9mm, 45. Those are super common rounds. So when you're scavenging in this new apocalypse, it's rounds you're more likely to stumble upon. And 5.56, 2.23 are definitely those. Just like shotgun shells. Everybody's got a shotgun.
Yes.
But I mean, if I couldn't have a gun and it had to be a hand-to-hand weapon, man, I almost would want Morgan's little stick axe thing.
Oh, right.
Because, I mean, if you're surrounded, you could turn it over to the little light end with the pointy stick and just start chunking people in the face. But if Definitely would want, like, I mean, if I got my choice, I want something that I can keep them at longer range with.
Yeah, and it needs to be portable, so relatively lightweightish.
I feel like that axe would be heavy as hell to tote around.
Yeah.
I mean, since Morgan's stick has the ability to stab through heads with a blunt end, it's just Morgan's magic stick. Oh, Lord, that sounds like something you'd find in the Barn of Pleasures.
Yeah.
I'm down here with Morgan's magic stick. All lives are precious.
All anuses, too.
And then you step in and you're like, oh, no, I'm just here looking for, and then you look in the corner and there's Victor Strand just surrounded by tons of people, and everybody's just all over him, and you're like, Strand! JP, I warned you.
I think I could keep him happier than that. I think I could.
Keep in mind, JP's a straight male, too. I just find it hilarious how much you love Victor Strand.
It's something about, man, just like a voice like that.
You've never had gay sex, though, so you don't know that you would keep him happy. He's a very, I mean, he's had relationships, and I don't know how long, if it's just been a lifelong thing, or if maybe, I don't know his backstory, but I know that he's got more experience in the realm of man-on-man sex than you do. Maybe you wouldn't be able to keep him happy.
I would.
And then he would have to go, because we haven't seen him show any kind of like bi tendencies, right? Or, whatever. I can't keep up with all the terms. But, he hasn't, we've not seen him show really any interest in females in that way, right?
I don't know. I always thought he was just pansexual.
Which means you don't really look at, explain these to me. I'm a little ignorant when it comes to these.
It's just, you just live in the moment, whatever you're attracted to in the here and now, be it man, woman, or otherwise.
What's different in that and bisexual? Because I thought bisexual meant you were attracted to both, so I thought that's not the same thing.
Not, the great George Takei said that the human animal is pansexual. It's just about the feeling, and now there's a whole spectrum of genders that transcend male and female. So
I can't keep up with it all. I mean, I just always assumed if you, like gay, you like people of your sex. And I'm not trying to offend anybody. I don't know these things. Again, I'm ignorant on them. But, I just thought gay meant you liked the same sex, and that was pretty much the only thing that did it for you. And I thought bisexual meant you were attracted to both, you kind of like you said pan was. You just live in the moment. Whatever, you can find both attractive, and you just kind of go with whatever gets you there. And then, straight, of course, being the opposite sex. So you always imagine Victor Strand isn't against, oh, man, so you're in trouble. So not only is he going to be cheating on you with some of the, like Jesus and Aaron, but I mean, he's going to be cheating on you with like Rosita. Rosita probably would love Strand.
I don't think that would happen, man. I don't know if
I think she would just be intrigued by him. He'd get in her head and he'd be like, Rosita,
I don't think so.
I know you've seen me with Aaron and Jesus, but that doesn't mean that's the full extent of the pleasure I can give. Next thing you know, you walk in and he's just with, just this big group sex act, Rosita's dove in there.
No, I don't know. I don't know that Victor's top, bottom, or verse, but I think I could keep him happy regardless.
JP, you just weren't what I was looking for.
Unless he's a size queen, and then I might have a problem. But
what does that mean? Got a big dong?
It's if you're a size queen, it means you love humongo dicks.
Oh,
like big dicks.
Oh, you don't think you can help? JP, I'm sorry. I've asked you multiple times to put the pretzel can over top of it. You refused to do so. So
yeah.
I had to go to the Barn of Pleasures.
So I think we could make it work. I hope.
I'm now with Aaron. I could see Strand and Aaron together. If I had to pick someone else, like assuming he's stuck with men, if I had to pick someone else, I could see Victor Strand with from the Walking Dead universe. Mm-hmm. I could see it being Aaron.
Would you like to watch it?
I mean, that doesn't really get me going, so probably not. I mean, you mean the act? I mean, I would love to watch the love between them grow, but I mean, if you're talking about the actual act, I mean, it's just
them having sex together.
It's not really my thing.
Well,
so,
dude, for the fandom.
I mean, are you talking about if you're talking about like a regular sex scene, whatever? I thought you were talking about like the Barn of Pleasures, Dirty Raunchy.
Well, I mean, this would be like a rated R Rick Grimes movie, so yeah, there would be. I don't know if you'd see the penis, but you would definitely see some, mock penetration and stuff like that.
Well, and then he'd be like, well, in JP, Aaron might not be the biggest, but have you seen his arm? He has attachments.
Yeah, there's that too. So I don't know.
Oh, but enough of that. But no, weapon. I want something long range, man. So I would love to have some kind of really strong.
A longbow?
well, that wouldn't be a bad idea. I mean, I'm just going to pick AR-15 if I can take my choice. I would love actually an AR-15 pistol, which is still shoot the same rounds. It's just more compact.
Okay.
So if you're in a tight space, I'm assuming this is the only weapon we have.
Sure.
A long, full-length AR-15 or other rifle could be a hindrance if you're going through a house, especially without a ton of training. I mean, you've got this long weapon that something comes right here. It's hard to swing it around and get the shots off, whereas if you have an AR pistol and it's only like this long, you keep it close, it's not sticking out much further than a pistol. Something comes, you can. So, I mean, I actually would say probably an AR pistol. That'd be my weapon.
Okay.
But if not, a really long machete, like my Ontario my Ontario TAC. God, RTAC. No. What the hell is that? What is that called? It's the RTAC, I think is what it's called. RTAC 2. Yes, that's it. Yeah, that's like an 11-inch blade. Not too long, but it's stout, strong.
I think that would satisfy Victor Strand. 11 inches, stout, strong.
JP, we're not at the Barn of Pleasures. We're talking about weapons and combat. Now, you got to pick 5 people, and we're going to wrap this thing up. 5 people to be with you. We already know you're number 1, so give us your other 4.
Let's see. I need a
choose wisely, JP.
I will. Jeez, man, that's tough. I need a guy of resources. A guy who knows how to fix things and put things together.
I'll fix you.
I need a medical expert, obviously. You need like a Star Trek crew. You need an engineer. You need a doctor, a navigator.
So Eugene would be your engineer. I mean, is there anybody else that really is on that level of engineering?
I don't really like Eugene, so I was trying to figure out somebody else.
And while you and Strand were doing your thing, he'd be watching.
He'd be watching, yeah, diddling himself.
Should we invite him in?
Ugh.
Watch Eugene have watch him be packing.
He probably is, man. He probably is. He's a shower, not a grower, not a shower. But
I mean, you can pick Luke. I mean, I don't know if he's as engineer savvy as Eugene, but he's very smart. I mean, I feel like maybe he could.
I would. Oh, jeez. Yeah, my doctor, I guess, would be
Sadiq, right?
No.
Since you love him so much.
Dr. Jenner from the CDC. Even though he's very quick to kill himself. But
I mean, are you sure you want that, though? I guess in this, it's a parallel universe where he's decided not to end his life and to give it a chance.
No, I don't think he did that. I think if I was there at the CDC, I could have talked him down.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, so I talked down Dr. Jenner. He's with me. Victor Strand's with me, and he would have definitely helped talk him down, too. We've got our muscle would be Rosita. Our tech guy, God, not anybody but Eugene. Come
on, JP.
I've kind of kept quiet about this. I've never liked Eugene as a character. Dude.
I will be able to sustain the life. I may watch a little bit between you and Strand, but I will absolutely 100% keep your property safe.
No, I don't want anyone but Eugene. Eugene's kind of like the Toby from The Office. I really don't like him.
You've never liked him?
I've never liked him.
Oh, wow.
I think he's
Do you like him in the
character.
comics?
Yeah, in the comics he's fine. But yeah,
wow.
I don't like him on TV.
He cracks me up.
I hate him. I hate him. I think he's just very stupid.
So we've got Rosita as kind of security detail.
Yeah.
I can't believe you didn't pick Michonne for that role.
No.
I believe my muscle, if I had to pick, I like Rosita, but if we're going female for the, female characters for the muscle, I would probably pick Michonne.
Yeah, I'm going to get Rosita.
That's just because, I'm telling you, Strand's going to seduce her. And he's going to leave you for Rosita.
He won't do that.
Yes,
Even
he
though
is.
He has fell for Mexican men, twice throughout the series.
He's just going to be like, Rosita. I like your name, Rosita. In my sexy voice, it just rolls right off the tongue. Rosita. Next thing you know, she's having another baby.
So what? I've got 3 so far. I need 2
You got
more?
Strand and Rosita.
Shit.
You got 3 more, yep.
Nick and Troy, just because they'd be cool to party with. They're always finding a good
I feel
fit.
like your group's going to get wiped out pretty quick. Rosita and Strand will be the last 2 standing.
And I like Nick and Troy. They're always good.
Now you got 1 more, and Troy would probably kill you in your sleep.
Maybe. Well, I got Dr. Jenner, so that's 5.
Like,
right?
yeah. I feel like you'd wake up one night and Troy would have gutted Strand and just be like, now you have to love me. Do you want to trip some more, JP?
Maybe not Troy then.
I was going to say, because, Strand might be like, JP, I don't think you should be eating zombie brain stems with them. We don't know the extent of the damage it can cause. And then it would cause a rift between you and him. And then, Troy would be getting jealous because your man's telling you not to spend time with him. So then one night he thinks in his twisted mind he's doing you a favor. And he sneaks up behind Strand out in the barn and slits his throat and then, brings you a severed zombified head and says, don't worry, JP. Now he can never tell you what to do again. In fact, let's eat his brainstem.
All right, well, not Troy then.
How could you do this to me, JP?
No, not all right.
You'd
not
hallucinate and see Strand. You ate my freaking brainstem, JP. Jesus Christ.
Not Troy.
And your dick was insanely tiny. I was never happy with you.
No, he would have been happy. He would have been happy.
All right, so we've taken Troy out the running. What about Troy's brother?
Nah, he was a square.
He was. He was getting with Alicia though. Props on that.
Yeah, you got to appreciate that.
So what I'm hearing, you've got your lover, which is Strand.
Right.
You've got your doctor, which is Jenner.
Yeah.
You've got your security, which is Rosita.
Yeah.
And then you've got your party buddy, which is Nick.
Right.
And now you got to pick one more person. So you've got a lover and a party friend, which if you and Strand were so in love, you could party together.
Oh, well, he would, but Nick is good for finding dope, and he's kind of a surrogate son to Strand. And then...
you got one more. Pick wisely, JP.
Jeez, I still need like a tech kind of guy, but not Eugene.
You pick Luke then. Luke's shown tech abilities. I don't know as far as his engineer when like wall building, but we know that he can deal with electronics and tech and stuff like that. So, I mean, and Luke's a great character. We just don't get enough of him.
Nah.
What is wrong with you?
What about the... Jeez, who was... oh, man, what's his name? The one who bit Andrea.
Man, he won't.
Milton.
Milton won't know real scientist. He was more like a historian. He was playing scientist.
No, I think he could fix some stuff.
Man, I liked Milton, but I would definitely not put him in that role over Luke or Eugene.
Well, maybe the blacksmith that stabbed himself through the head with the nail.
Ed?
Didn't really work.
God, I feel like he would just sit back. I feel like since he's like this really old white dude, he would just sit back and judge you and Strand. There's a lot wrong with this scenario where I come from.
Oh, God. Ed, just let us be.
And he might not. I'm joking. I mean, I'm sure, I'm around a lot of old white Southern dudes, and while you've got plenty of racist homophobes amongst them, I can promise you there are plenty that would tell you they're all live and let live. They really don't care who you want to be with.
And then when they get home, they're talking to their wife and be like, damn, not only is it going
that
with
gay JP boy.
Wrong color, wrong sex, can't do nothing with him.
So you might not want him there.
Yeah.
Like you and Strand, you go upstairs, you have your fun, you come down, he's like, oh, JP, let me fix you some lemonade. Have a seat. I'm going to spice it up with a little cocktail. And when y'all get into the kitchen, Ed's just sitting at the table, and he's like, I heard everything.
Oh, God. Oh,
and then he slams his head into a nail. I can no longer stand to live amongst this insanity. I don't know why he sounds like a Southern gentleman, like Doc Holliday and Johnny Ringo. All right, but you got to pick, though, man. You got one more.
Let's go with that.
No, you got to do that. We're here to answer their questions, and that person asked 5 people. You've only provided 4. You have to give another one.
Oh, jeez. Who else is really tech savvy?
Why do you need tech? There aren't really electronics anyways. As long as they know how to put a battery into a walkie-talkie, you're pretty much set.
Nah, I need someone who's, well, I guess Jenner could kind of he's got to be savvy in some way or fashion.
Well, I mean, he was in a super high-tech CDC place.
Yeah,
so electronic, okay, so they need a 5th person. Do you want someone who's more of an engineer who can build things? Remember Carol's character, Toby? I mean, he wasn't the most exciting character, but he was, very helpful with building.
Person.
You don't remember him?
I don't remember.
He's the one that gave us the really great, like in that one of the best episodes of the war with Negan, I thought, when they infected everybody. And, Carol's in there talking to him, and then she goes out, and all of a sudden he comes back as a zombie when people were turning left and right inside of Hilltop.
I don't remember him.
Nah, he was a forgettable character, but... I think he knew how to build things. I mean, you could pick Abraham. He was head of the construction crew. I mean, obviously, he knows something about it.
Yeah, Abraham was.
And he could keep Rosita off of Strand for you.
That's true. I would take Sasha. I'll take Sasha. She was pretty handy. And I've been loving her in Star Trek Discovery.
But you weren't that fond of her in the show.
I wasn't. But
Well, you're going to pick her?
yeah, she's grown on me. Because of a completely
JP,
different
I'm not
TV
happy
show.
with your lineup.
Well,
In fact, this is absolute garbage.
no, it's not. It's perfect.
You didn't pick Aaron or Jesus.
No, I'm not picking them.
I'll find them later in the Barn of Pleasures.
No.
You just see Strand's like, I'm going out for a drink. You're going to that barn, aren't you?
He would be happy at home.
Just don't ask, JP. We
He would
both
be
know
happy
where
at
it's
home
going.
with me.
All right, so my 5 people. Let's see. I got to pick a lover in the Walking Dead universe. That's a close. I mean, and I'm just assuming there's something about me they like, because I'm sure in real life they wouldn't be interested in me. Let's just assume
You
in
said
this,
Jesus is one of your favorite characters.
but not as a lover. So it's like, let's imagine in this scenario that this whoever I pick as my lover is into me. Let's see. It would be between Rosita, Maggie, Rosita, Maggie, Jess would be, Jessie's just so
Well,
hot.
she's got 2 kids, so that's always
Not in this scenario. I can only bring 5 people, buddy. We're I'm in charge of our own destinies. Her 2 kids bit the dust on the way.
Oh, jeez.
That's awful. I have a kid. That's terrible. But they're fictional kids. They don't count. Jess, Maggie, Rosita, Alicia.
Okay.
You know what? I think I'm going to pick Alicia as my lover.
Okay.
I don't think she's that much younger. I mean, I think she's younger than us, but I don't think she's that much younger than us. Maggie would be close. I've always thought Lauren Cohen was just beautiful. Rosita, too. I mean, Rosita can double over as... Well, Alicia, too. I'll say Rosita and Alicia, the advantage is... Well, really, all of them can fight at this point. But, Rosita or Alicia would definitely be like... I don't know. I'm going to pick Alicia.
Okay.
I think if I'm being honest, Alicia or Rosita would definitely make it to the top, and I'm probably going to go with Alicia. Head of security. See, that would be a toss-up for me between, like, Abraham and Michonne. Like, that's... not going to put Rick in there, because Rick's too... if I'm... Are we leading these communities, or are we just living there?
No, you're the leader.
Oh, then Rick can't be there. Neither can Victor Strand.
Oh, jeez.
Alicia as my lover. I'm bringing Abraham. I mean, I don't really know what his role is going to be, but he cracks me up. He can fight his ass off, and he's definitely worth having on your team.
Yeah.
So Abraham, and that way, that helps, and that's kind of why I didn't pick Rosita either, because then there's always that awkward, they've had a history. You don't have a history with Alicia. I don't have to worry about that. So Alicia, Abraham, I'm bringing Michonne in. Be tempted to bring Jesus in just because he's a good advisor. He can keep you level-headed, and he also is a badass combatant.
And explore your sexuality.
I don't find him attractive in that way. Let me think. I bring Herschel. He's just a delight.
Yeah, and he's a doctor.
And he's a doctor.
Yeah.
So there you go. Herschel is my doctor. Alicia is my lover. Abraham and Michonne are both I would put them in charge of security. Mm-hmm. Now I got to pick one more, right? That's 4.
So, yeah.
Alicia, Abraham, Michonne, and Herschel. Can Herschel have his leg back, though?
That's up to you. You can pluck him anywhere you want from the town.
Yeah, it almost. But he only became awesome after he lost his leg. And then I might bring Maggie in case things don't work out between me and Alicia.
Yeah.
No, I'd probably bring Glenn too.
He's a good scout.
No, I'm not. Scratch that, Glenn. You're booted. Probably bring Daryl.
Yeah, he's a good tracker.
I mean, it's so many advantages. He can go out. I hunt as well, but I wouldn't have to do all the hunting. He could go handle a lot of it. Mm-hmm. He'd be good to kind of, walk the perimeter. So we got it set up. My dream team is Alicia as my lover, and she can fight too.
Yeah.
Michonne and Abraham, who we both know can throw down. Herschel is the doctor, and then Daryl is just kind of like our jack of all trades. He hunts, he works security, he scouts. So yeah, I'm sure Daryl knows how to build stuff.
Yeah. I mean, he lived out on his own for quite a while after Rick got.
I build
carried
tree
away.
stands. I know I can build a fence.
Yeah.
And plus, I want to block us away from that other farm right next door because that JP and Strand fella leave the window open and they are doing some messed up shit.
Yeah, I think that'd be a
Dare Bear. Why don't you come on over to the Parish Farm?
It would be good.
But yeah, I think that's going to wrap it up for today's Walking Dead What If. I know we kind of went off the rails, but I had fun. I thought it was a fun conversation.
Yeah.
And if you enjoyed the podcast, maybe you're new to the channel and you sat through all of that BS, clearly you might have enjoyed it. So consider subscribing. And if you really enjoyed it, make sure you check out our Patreon, patreon.com/thepodcastingdead, where you get 8 extra podcasts a month for next to no money. So check that out. We hope everybody has a wonderful weekend. We'll catch you back here on Monday for both Fear the Walking Dead and
That's it.
I just watched the life leave your face because you knew I was getting ready to say In the World Beyond, just like In the World Beyond. With Rick supposedly showing up in episode 10, I don't know, man. I'll be stoked. I feel like that'll be the only good part of that episode.
Assume it even happens. We'll see like his
You kids are awful. My son Carl was half your size and killing walkers. You're still suckling on the teat.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we will see you soon. I'm Justin.
I'm JP.
And we're the Podcasting Dead.